Any non-EOD players will understand that one of the greatest accomplishments for any standard account is finally getting away from the alpha container and onto Epsilon. The only issue with doing this is, the whole Punisher quest line. Realistically, this quest isn't too bad, but some of the quest steps have changed just a tiny bit, but enough for it to matter, especially if you don't know the maps. Since I've completed Punisher a million times, I decided I would make a quick video explaining some tips and tricks I have for each individual step. If any of this doesn't make sense to you, feel free to leave a comment below or hop on my streams from 12 to 4 p.m. EST, subject to change, on either Twitch or YouTube. Starting off with part 1. Eliminate 15 scavs with an AKM series gun on Shoreline. First things first, you should be mostly focusing scavs, not loot nor players. You can go towards areas with loot and players on the side, but try to focus on scavs first, then those after. What I like to do was try to get multiple Shoreline quests at once that required me to travel around the map like Eagle Eye. This would put me in areas with scavs most of the time. This map right here shows the areas I personally recommend looking for scavs. My favorite areas to check are the sniper scav spawns at Power Station and the bunker behind Resort, since they're guaranteed spawns and usually have more normal scavs there. The parts that say late on them means that these scavs usually show up later into the raid since they're right next to extract. This isn't that hard, so I don't necessarily have too many tips, but one more tip I can give you is build your AKM series gun simply. All I usually do is throw a PSO sight on it and that's it. Suppressors are pretty cheap too if you have access to the flea, so feel free to get that. Remember, you're killing scavs, so take your time and pray you don't get one tapped. Part 2 got changed and now requires you to get 12 scav kills with a suppressed weapon on reserve. This is basically the same thing as the last part, but with any suppressed weapon and on reserve instead. You also will need to turn in 7 found and raid lower half masks. Hopefully you've been keeping these, since once you need to find them, you won't be able to. Jokes aside, they're pretty common and you'll most likely have found them all if you've gotten all the kills. Scavs spawn basically everywhere and player scavs count too, so I'm not going to show a map since it would end up just being a big red circle around the entire map. Part 3 is also killing scavs, but this time with the AK-74U series assault rifle on customs. You need to kill 25 scavs and that's it. Pretty simple. For the gun, I'd recommend buying the B11 mount and whatever site you like the most, and that's really all you need. Remember that bosses and guards count to this as well, so don't be afraid to kill Rashala and his boys. To find the scavs, here's what I'm going to recommend. Avoid the popular places like dorms and stronghold unless you're fine with the PMC fight, and try to play slower and wait for later in the raid. Scavs seem to spawn way more in groups later into the raid and at your extract. And at your extract, you should be able to find a ton of scavs. I typically find a ton by the RUAF roadblock or ZB11. Part 4 is where it starts to get a little rough. You're still going to be killing scavs, but this time with a 12 gauge shotgun. On Lighthouse. One of the longest maps in the game. Honestly, it's not horrible, but I personally couldn't get any scav kills for the life of me. Maybe I'm just really unlucky. Just stick to any of the housed areas in the middle of the map, or play a little risky and go down by the long road. You also have to kill 10 PMCs while wearing any balaclava. But now, you have to kill them on Lighthouse. This was the worst step for me. The PvP on this map is actual AIDS. You either snipe, get sniped, spawn in between 3 other teams, get killed by rogues, blow up the mines, die to player scavs. I could go on and on. I'm going to recommend learning how to kill players immediately off a spawn, which I'm going to show you in a second. Not every spawn can do this, and some of the spawns you'll get will end up having people doing the same thing you're doing to you. This map is a hit or miss, and bringing actual gear feels like a waste. I personally ran bolt actions and sat still most of the raids, and just sniped people running by all the choke points. This whole map is like a funnel. The 2 chokes on this map are right above the blue house before the village where the mountains are, and where the village splits off into the road camp and path to Shoreline. Watching these areas should guarantee you some PMC kills, as long as you can aim. You also need to turn in 5 found and raid A2607 knives, the brown ones that scavs normally spawn with, so hopefully it's not too hard to find those. Here's some more detailed explanations, since trying to write a script out for all of what I'm about to say will take forever. Alright, so now I'm going to show you what spawns you want and what you're going to be looking out for when you get these spawns. So starting off, we're going to name this one number 1. Good, let me draw. Number 1 is going to be looking towards this black spawn right here. This black spawn, the black spawns are bad, the red spawns are what you want, and the blue spawn, or the blue circles are the choke points. So this black spawn up here, you've got mines you can walk into, you've got the rogue camp you can get shot from, and you've got this player spawn that's camping you. Don't know why this is in the game, probably one of the worst spawns ever in any video game I've ever seen in my life. Especially a game where your loot matters. By the blue choke points, right above the blue house right here, this is the blue house. You're not going to necessarily see anybody immediately, unless you get lucky and you can catch these guys right here, running through here, or this guy running back. Or if this spawn, I don't know if this spawn can happen, this one I'm circling right here. I don't know if that spawn can happen, but if it does, then you can catch them as well. This spawn mostly is for propping up early game and letting people push you. There's 2 huge rocks, I'll erase these real quick. There's just 2 huge rocks right here and right here. You've also got the red rebel extract and everybody coming from the loot house. It's going to be funneling down into there. So this is an extremely good spawn to just wait and chill out for. Call that one number 2. 2 is also in between the 2 choke points because everybody funnels through this part of the map. Unless you left early or are going for rogues. So 2 is an extremely good spot. Right here, 3. 3 is very good as well because you can prop up in the loot house. You can just run away. No one's going to shoot you unless you you're being slow and you're just not running. If you get caught in the, behind, you know, maybe this guy can come up here and shoot you, this guy might shoot you, whatever. It's rare. You're not going to get shot if you just move. You can probably in the blue house, you can look across, you can get the good loot that's actually in here. You can watch backwards because most people will push this house. So that's a free couple kills as well. Another good spawn is right here, number 4. This is right back at the extract. If you want to just leave, you can. That's always a plus. But the really good thing is running straight up this mountain. Not on this side because you only have one side. This used to be a common shooter-born spot, but people know about this. It's very common now, so I'm just going to not recommend doing that. Because you also can't run anywhere except for downhill. But once you run up here, you can prone across all of these rocks and watch these black spawns down here. These spawns are the worst spawns in the game alongside this one. I still don't know why they exist. You have nowhere you can run. Literally nowhere you can run. You have a broken down building which basically traps you. And you've got Lightkeeper, which you don't have yet. And if you want to run towards these guys, that's basically a death wish. So good luck getting those spawns. I've died like maybe 80% of the time I get those spawns. So these black spawns right here, you don't want to get those. And then this one I circled that it was kind of black, like it's like little squiggly lines, this one is pretty deadly. You're in between 4 different spawns, right? But you can just sit inside the entire time and no one's ever going to see you. So it's kind of bad, but you can survive. These 2 spawns right here, you're probably not going to survive. Now this one has a star next to it because this can go either way. This is either a good or a bad spawn. You're either going to get caught by this guy. He's going to push back and shoot you. Or you're going to push backwards up on this mountain, watch these guys, these black spawns right here funnel in, and number 4, this red spawn, funnel upwards towards here. So this is possibly an extremely good spawn, but it's also, it could be a pretty bad spawn because you've got this guy I was showing you earlier could push through. You've also got the blue house people watching you. So for those spawns, just be wary, watch out. Make sure, if you get these 2 black spawns down here, it's basically over. Maybe sit near the water so when you die, your body rolls in and they don't get your loot. But that's about it. Nothing crazy. Good luck. I hope you don't get those spawns. Once you've claimed your rewards for Part 4, make sure you don't sell the M4. You can strip the parts as long as it's still functional, and turn it in for Part 5 since it needs to be found in Raid. Part 5 also requires a found in Raid AK-74N, which is super cheap and craftable at Workbench level 1. And you need 2 PM pistols found in Raid, not PMT pistols. They look the same, but they're different. To find these pistols, check stashes, dead and AI scavs, and weapon boxes. Any map should work fine as long as you know where to look for weapon boxes while killing and checking scavs. I personally had them ready since I've had trouble finding them in the past, and I didn't want to go through all of that again. Besides turning in all those items, you'll need to kill 10 PMCs while wearing either 6B47 helmet and P.A.K.A. armor. Just grind those out in factory and run some super cheap kit like a shotgun. Or you can get these kills while getting those guns / looting other maps. For factory, you want to immediately rush people off of spawns or play late in third party. Remember that you'll most likely only get a maximum of a couple kills on factory since there aren't many players on that map. Finally, you're on part 6. This is by far the most expensive part since you have to run SVDs and get 15 PMC kills with it. Base SVDs are about 70k on the flea, good ammo is about 1,000 a round, the only magazines are 10 and 20 rounders, and the gun is loud as fuck if you don't have a suppressor on, and the suppressors are almost the same price as the base gun. Obviously, the prices are subject to change, but that's usually what I notice the prices to be whenever I start doing this questline. You have to kill 15 players with the SVD and turn in 7 dog tags for bears and use sex, totaling to 14 dog tags. A huge plus here is that these dog tags don't need to be found in raid. So you can throw these in your dog tag case, sick case, your alpha container, and whatever, doesn't matter. You also cannot get any kills on factory. These will not count towards your quest. My personal favorite map for this is Customs. Since it's a smaller map, PvP is fast, spawns are pretty close together, you can third party pretty often, and you can extract relatively fast. Once again, play off of other players' spawns and kill them ASAP. Try not to let them get far. As for building the SVD, well, it kind of depends on your cash flow. If you're broke, maybe just try to get your money up, or just run the base SVD with a low mount and a sight on it. You're going to be going loud, which is going to draw a lot of attention, so just be ready to move and reposition after you're done firing. If you've got some money, invest in a suppressor, a foregrip, and at least 2 20-round mags. Losing a gunfight because you were hip firing and ran out of ammo on a 10-rounder mag is devastating. I personally would always run a decent foregrip, for example, the RK5, a suppressor, and either a Voodoo, TAC-30, or the new Tango scope. I prefer optics over the 1x scopes, since I prefer to snipe with the SVD than be close range, since close range fights feel more like a 50-50. This part really is all up to you, since everybody's playstyle is different. Just make sure you play the map you're most comfortable with killing people on, and you should have no problem finishing Punisher. Real quick, I'm going to explain some tips if you plan on going customs for SVD kills, just in case anybody wants to understand exactly how I played out. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to play customs. For me, personally, what I like to do is these two right spawns. I will take these and run straight into construction, right into this unfinished building. The one with the gun around it. There are holes in the stairs. You can prone and watch people pushing crack house. You can also watch people rotating from RUAF through mechanic to stronghold. Everybody from Big Red will be crossing through this side of the map regardless. You will see them unless they play a very specific path. So those two spawns I like to run there. You also could take this the smuggler's boat, go straight to 3rd story. This spawn right here will probably beat you. It will beat you to 2 story, and you'll probably have a clash immediately. So that's a good 1v1 is right there as well. Well, could be 1v1. You know what I mean. For these two left spawns, what I like to do is, for the old gas spawn, I will push straight into what I like to call skeleton right here. Not stronghold, just because stronghold's really noisy. Everybody is pushing there. I'd rather get angles on people. Like I like use suppressors like the snipe. So what I'll do is I'll sit up in stronghold and I'll watch. I'll sit up in skeleton and I'll watch stronghold. So I'll watch this entire area. I can also turn around and watch people running around this road, running to dorms. People running through this forest right here. So I like to sit in skeleton instead of stronghold. If you're doing capturing outposts, then yeah, you could sit in there, but I don't even think you'll have that quest if you still have Punisher. And then for this other spawn, the dorms 2-story spawn, I'll do the same thing. I'll run straight to dorms. I'll sit in 2-story. Sometimes, if I have the keys, I'll loot 2-story while I'm waiting for people. But you could also just rush straight into 3rd story, and you'll probably get there about the same time. I think this guy will beat you here every time, though. You could also, these other spawns, like on the farther side, like USEC and this little corner, military checkpoint, I think it's called. Those spawns aren't terrible. It's going to be a little slower off bet. You could probably clash with the people on either side of the road. You want to push them. And then Big Red is just like a big mistake. Like don't push people over here. You should just get away from there as fast as possible. Take junk bridge, take one or two land bridge. Get across and get into cover, and then wait for people. The big thing about customs is you can push people extremely fast. It's a very small map. You can also third party extremely easily. The only issue is this little building right here. This is like the only way to get across without going through old gas or running all the way around and doing this little jump over right here. Or running into one of the walls if you don't want to risk getting shot jumping over or whatever. So customs is extremely good for getting those kills. You have free reign basically anywhere to do whatever you want. It's an extremely small map. Not extremely small. It's a pretty small map. You have free sniper territory. You can push parties extremely fast. Third party the hell out of it. And there's a lot of hotspots. Dorms, stronghold. That's about it. Big Red maybe early game, but if you get Punisher that early, you don't even need this guide. So that's it. If you have any other questions, let me know. Finally, claim the Epsilon container from Prepper and you're all done. Punisher can be punishing at sometimes, but it's totally worth getting the Epsilon container, especially if you don't have EOD. This is one of the big first achievements any new player will get, and I congratulate you on finally achieving it. If this video is helpful, please leave a like or subscribe. I plan on making Tarkov videos in the future, and I also make Destiny videos alongside them. I am also finally eligible for the members program, so if you've ever felt like donating to the channel, that's also an option. You don't get any real benefits besides just some cool kids points and badges whenever I'm live. Speaking of live, if you need any additional help, come by my streams from 12 to 4 p.m., subject to change, and ask me whatever you want. Doesn't matter what game I'm playing, I just ask that you give me some time to get to a save point or finish up what I'm doing first. Thanks again for all the support, and hopefully I'll see you around.